What's going on, everybody? It's Blair Johnson coming at you from the Badass Records podcast studio, where we talk about your music and your story. If you want to be a guest on an episode, hit me up either through Gmail, which is badassrecordspodcast@gmail.com, or find the podcast rather on Twitter or Instagram. If you go to badassrecordspodcast.com, you can find all the episodes, a story about the show, a merch tab, get yourself a beanie or a coffee mug. Thanks for stopping by. Hope you enjoy the show. But anyway, here we are. We'll probably need to bring the step ladder over for you to start the third column.
The next
which will be episode 61 of Badass Records Podcast. Nice. And back from behind. Thank you. Back from behind the cloudy etched glass is Elwyn M. Grimes Jr.
Here again.
Private Eye. Wow. So 13 months ago, you came for episode 3.
Yeah.
And we talked a lot of family. We talked Marvin Gaye, Pearl Jam, and who am I forgetting?
It was Nas.
Yes.
Nas. Yeah.
It was written.
It was written.
Which, like, that was, I mean, now I've listened to it and Illmatic, and like, I feel like I can't turn a page without him popping up. Some, I'm like, how did I not see this?
He's all over the place.
Yeah,
he's really, really influential. Yeah.
And also, like, I remember liking It Was Written, but I don't remember quite the, like, if you listen to that opening New York track from Illmatic, he's like fucking mad.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, like, I really like this, but it's also a little intimidating. I don't remember that being the case in It Was Written.
No, I think that the opening skit on It Was Written is what's really jarring, because it's like them having the conversation about escaping slavery.
That's right. Yeah, now I remember that.
You're just kind of like, what is happening right now? Yeah.
But I feel like in some of the verses for that lead-off track of Illmatic, he's like mad at some people in the game. Maybe
I'd have to go back and listen to Illmatic, but I think that one, because I remember when I picked up It Was Written, I had gone to the store looking for Illmatic. And they were sold out.
Right.
And I think universally, it's most people that are Nas fans think that that's the better album.
Right.
I think I'm on the.
I've gotten mixed reviews. I've gotten some people like, what, and some people have been like, that's what's up.
Yeah,
that guy knows we saw. I remember now the buddy's brother that did the episode with all the jazz records. When I said, whatever you want to do, headphones or not, he's like, yeah, man, I'm gonna not. I said, I watch Rogan. These guys are sitting 4 feet apart from each other, and what the fuck? And I was like that, and then I was like, but he hasn't always had somebody or multiple people producing his show. It used to be just him. And if it's you, then you got to listen. You got to know what shit sounds like.
Sure. That makes sense.
And so that was my reaction to him. But then I was thinking about it again today, and I was like, but he hasn't needed them for so long now. Yeah. And he's still, for every episode,
still puts them on.
Yeah. And like, I mean, I get sometimes they'll pull up a clip or whatever that has audio, but that's for 3-hour episodes times 4 or 5 a week.
Yeah.
You just must really be comfortable in them.
It's probably just like second nature.
I mean, I wear them a lot, and still, after I've had them on for a long time, I take them off. I'm like, fucking headphones, God. But anyway, so I was telling my son just a little bit ago. He was like, "Who's coming today?" And I told him you were coming. He's like, "He's already done one." Yeah. I was like, "I know, man, but like this, I'm kind of veering down a different angle." I've got episode number 44 was a cat named Sammy Sanchez. He gave me 3. One of them was a Tom Waits record. Okay. And I was like, I seldom come across Tom Waits and would love to kind of put a pin in that thought. And so I hit him up, and he's on the calendar too. We're going to do the whole discography, which, I mean, are you familiar with his stuff at all?
No, I know the name, and I don't think I'm familiar with any of his music.
He is wild.
Yeah.
And piano playing, drunken bar room, wailing into the microphone.
Yeah.
Is kind of, if you just have a little glimpse into what he's been as a musician, that's what you get. But then he's gone all kinds of different directions too. Okay. And I was like, same feeling in talking to him as talking to you, and they were kind of happening at the same time. It's like, yeah, that's good show idea. Cool. Yeah. And then I sit down, I'm like, fuck. This is like 16 or 17 records of his. So I started prepping for that, and then turned to this. I'm like, why did I think it was going to be like 7? So episode 3, we talked about some of your favorite records, and today we're gonna try to make our way through both discographies, Tribe Called Quest, and De La Soul. And speaking of that, cheers to everybody for finally being able to listen to De La streaming.
Yes.
I learned a little bit in getting ready for this, and I'm sure it'll come up more than once, but so weird to me that so Fife passed away like 8 months or so before the last Tribe record came out.
Yeah, I remember.
Which was, we got it from here. Thank you for your support, from 2016.
Okay.
I mean, it was like not quite ready.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was ready. They could have put it out. I mean, anyway, it's just right. And then Trugoy, I mean, right like before, 3 weeks or something.
Yeah.
A month, maybe?
Maybe 3 weeks.
Just like how wonderful would it be for the other guys, I'm sure, like to have this revival and people talking about you and your craft and what you've done, and like just waiting for that forever.
Yeah.
I mean, so anyway.
That one, I mean, I was just sad, period, when I heard he had passed away. And then, just the fact that it was weeks.
Yeah.
To see part of his dream, at that point, part of your dream come true.
Yeah.
Because I think that they had really, and I don't know the particulars of whatever deal it was, it kept him off streaming and that kind of stuff, but I think they got a really bad deal from the record company.
Well, so it's Tommy Boy.
Yes.
And some folks, this is as rudimentary as an explanation as I can give, because I don't know that much, but I think some folks came after them for sample stuff.
Okay.
And so Tommy Boy, I don't know. So there's a legal battle, and it's just not going anywhere. And then I think they solved it, or Tommy Boy was like, "We're not ponying up any more money for this." So then all of a sudden it's at this hump that it can't get over.
Okay.
And then somehow, so I think Tommy Boy eventually arrived at a place, and they're like, "You'll get 10% and we'll get 90%," and they're like, "Get fucked."
Yeah.
But somehow another entity ended up buying Tommy Boy. I forget who it is. Yeah. And then they kind of created a different label that is also owned by the people that bought Tommy Boy.
Okay.
And that, I think, freed up, all the things for us to finally be able to stream their stuff. But I mean, freaking years, like two decades. Yeah. I mean, this stuff's been, it's basically, we've been able to stream for 20 years. And I mean, because I picked up 3 Feet High and Rising in 89 or 90. Okay.
So because it would have been, because I would have been a freshman at KU.
Okay. Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was wanting to ask, like, your first introduction or exposure to hip hop was
Oh, probably. I know the first album I ever bought was Run DMC Raising Hell.
Okay.
So that would have been 83.
And how was it on your radar that you wanted to own that?
Golly. I don't know.
Yeah.
I want to say MTV, but
sure.
I'm not sure that's entirely true.
Yeah. I remember that they were one of the first, I mean, obviously other acts had been around and been recording prior to them, but they were like kind of live and in the moment. That was the first outfit that I was like, is this gonna like be is this gonna be around? Is this gonna last? Is this real?
Yeah.
And then, I mean, probably as long as it took the words to come out of my mouth, it's like, oh, this is everywhere. Exploded. Like, holy shit, man. And I've been behind ever since.
Yeah,
if I would have
I'm still playing catch up. And it's my favorite genre, and I'm still like, I'll put something in, and like I was going through De La's discography just here and there, and there was Busta Rhymes was on a track, and I'm like, I've never heard this before.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Like, and maybe I had and just wasn't paying attention. It was on in the background, whatever. And I was like, "That's Busta."
Oh, he's on more than one. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. So this is really exciting for me. It's kind of there's this bulk of the two discographies that I have always known and loved, and then there's this little portion of it that, like, I think. Oh, I got it, but then I never really dove in.
Yeah.
Like I listened to it, and some shit is familiar.
Yeah, sure.
And then there's some other stuff that was first listens for me for this.
Oh, yeah.
Which mixed reviews there, but this is like De La put out more records, which means nothing. But for that first part where it's like, here's the records that we've known for years, more or less by heart.
Yeah.
Like they were like da 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 da, and sometimes they were putting them out in the same year and in the same month. There's at least one where it was same year, a few months, and then there's another one where it's same year, like a few weeks.
Okay.
And in the beginning, they're like recording their 3 Feet High and Rising, and they're in the same building. Like down the hall from one another.
Nice.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Dude.
That's awesome.
And then, it's like they're not a whole lot, but there's, they've featured for each other.
Yeah, a little bit of crossover.
Here and there.
Yeah.
And so I just fictitiously created this De La V Tribe kind of thing and tug of war. And it's kind of like they were homies.
Yeah.
I mean, they're playing for the same team.
Yeah, there was I don't think there was any beef between those
two at all. No. And like being supportive of each other.
Yeah.
And so I guess it's us that created who's the GOAT. I fucking hate that word by now. Anyway, so I think we'll just run through them in chronological order.
Cool.
So we'll be jumping in and out of both bands.
Yeah, works.
So 3 Feet High and Rising, 89.
Yeah.
So clearing up samples, I guess, was the holdup, but here it is. I mean, it was like, I had somebody who, Tony did episode 46, and I think he texted me at like 5:45. That was it, a Friday morning? The De La stuff.
Yeah,
March 3rd.
I think so. Yeah.
Screenshot of he's in his stream. Fuck yeah! And I was just like,
because I remember seeing on Instagram that they were doing like some sort of release thing at midnight of that night, and I don't stay up till midnight, so it was like Thursday night at midnight, and I tried my damnedest to stay up and see
for real?
Yeah, and I didn't make it past like 10:30, and and so like the next morning I was like, oh yeah, I was like, oh, this is all day.
We here
all day. I started on this album, track 1, and I didn't listen.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't listen to anything except for De La Soul.
I had to go right to Stakes, and then I went right to Buhloone, and then I think then I went to AOI 1 and 2.
Okay.
And then I made my way back to this.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is over a couple, week and a half, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
My kids were like, "What's the deal?" I'm like, "Well,
is this all you're going to listen to?
Pull up a chair. Here's the story."
Here we go.
So I really wanted to get track listings written for each one, but I didn't. So this is the only one that has it.
That's
so
fine. Look, I'll pull it up on my phone.
But changing. So when my buddy, I forget if it was the Super Bowl or AFC Championship game, my buddy texted me and said, "Holy shit, R.I.P. Trugoy the Dove." What?
I've had this on. This has been my screensaver since
Okay.
March the 3rd.
Nice. And I was like, I don't know who that is. And he was like, Plug 2? And I was like, this weird wash of embarrassment for not knowing that was his moniker.
Yeah.
And then this just horror, like, how? That can't be. Where it's around, I can see it.
Yeah.
I can see it on the calendar. Anyway, but I feel like, anytime in the last few years that these guys have come up, and especially now with this happening, this is the go-to for people. Really love this record, and I don't think it's that great. Honestly.
Really? No.
So here's what I think is that it is one of these deals where it probably might have been the birthplace of the mind blown emoji when it came out.
Yeah,
people were like, "Oh shit!"
I think it was so different.
Well, yeah, because you've gone from Grandmaster Flash and Curtis, all this stuff, late 70s, early 80s, and then bam, gangster rap.
Yeah,
is what I know. Other stuff was out, but for some reason, rap really shoved its way and got in front of our faces.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh man, okay, there's so many, artists and records and then all of a sudden they're like, here's something that doesn't have to be aggressive. It can be fun loving. It can be chill. It can be clever and intelligent.
Yeah.
And I think people were just like blown away. And I think it's just, that's held.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely not the best De La album for me, and there's plenty of Tribe albums that are better than it too.
Yeah,
but big fave for you?
Oh yeah. Well, I think of all their albums, this is probably my favorite.
Okay.
But I'm also most familiar with this album because, like, what was the second one was De La Soul is Dead, I think, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't think I ever bought that album. I
did and couldn't get into it.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't.
I love it now.
Okay.
But I don't.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I think that I tried and probably didn't even make it all the way through once, and then I found one other person was like, yeah, that's not their band. I was like, yeah, that album sucks. And then just file that away for the next 30 years or what.
Yeah.
But anyway, Change and Speak is where, you got intro and then the second track and then boom, it's going. Nas, Pete Rock, Questlove, underneath my Tommy Boy wanted 90% and De La was going to get 10. Nas, Pete Rock, Questlove all called for a Tommy Boy boycott.
Yeah, I remember that.
Really? Yeah. Okay. I was like, that is a trio right there. Yeah. I mean,
those are some heavy hitters.
Can You Keep a Secret? Awesome horn sample and all the dandruff and haircut stuff. Elwyn Grimes needs a haircut.
I'm not getting a haircut either.
Okay, so Reservoir Media, my notes are just smattered all over.
Yeah, go.
Acquired Tommy Boy in June 2021 for $100 million.
Okay. All right.
So, like, that's what's confusing to me is somewhere there was money to make people happy.
Absolutely.
And, I don't know why it took so long, but it's their only certified platinum record.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So these first 3 or 4, I think you might have been the first person to point this out to me, but Prince Paul is around for the first 3 or 4. producing.
At least for the first two, I know.
Okay,
right?
And it seems like,
and maybe 3 or 4, because
it seems like people really want to point that out, that and make sure that he gets his credit for producing these records. And I don't know, I guess it's warranted, because I think, things are definitely different after he's gone. But I still don't know much at all about him. Do you know anything?
No, not a whole lot. I know he was really really heavily involved in the early days of hip hop, and gets a lot of credit for producing some of the the bigger names and acts, and had a lot of success doing it. And I think he's still, like, their album that came out, I can't remember, was it 2019?
Who? De La
Soul?
I think 16 was their last one.
Was it 16?
Yeah.
And I want to say maybe he produced a few tracks on that one too.
Okay. You might be right, and that I don't know why it's so weird. Like, I can look at a record from 1989, digitally or whatever, and look at the track listing, and see all these features. I'm like, oh man, And then I look at one from 2016, and it's got all these features, and I'm like, that's weird. And it's weird because, like, I knew who a lot of these people were before they made this record with this group.
Gotcha.
Right, so it's like, whoever's featuring Busta, maybe Prince, blah, 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 all these old school names. And then you look to today and it's like Snoop and 2 Chainz and David Byrne. I'm like, what? Okay. But it's the same concept.
Yeah, it's
like,
the same thing.
Having folks over, making a track. Lots of quotes and rankings. Seems like every entity everywhere has made a list of the best 500 records of all time and the best records of 2018. There's lists for everything. But
sure, absolutely.
I found an NPR quote for this one.
Okay.
3 Feet High and Rising reshaped the public imagination of what hip-hop could be, and that it still sounds wondrous and weird in the musical landscape of the 2020s.
Okay.
So kind of, mind-blowing pioneer that aged well, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the list of featured artists, 23 tracks, 63 minutes. None more favorite for me, though, than Q-Tip showing up in Description, which is like, it's everybody's first album, and they're already,
jumping in.
Yep. Great samples in Say No Go. Me, Myself, and I mean,
iconic.
It's
iconic track.
I'm every time I kind of do this but it's not amazing.
Yeah,
it's just kind of fun.
Yeah.
But it's maybe one of the biggest hits, either of the two.
Yeah, it might be, maybe the biggest track off this album.
Oh yeah, for sure this album. Yeah. And as I'm looking, there's plenty more of that. I'll grab you another one right now, actually. So obviously people that review stuff have opinions.
Sure.
And it's kind of a lot of people that talk trash on the skits.
Oh yeah?
I love the skits.
I love the skits.
And for this to be the first record, sort of that, I guess Digital they did it on Sex Packets. Anyway, I love the contestant. Do you know the answers?
Do you know the answers?
And then my favorite one is, I wish my cousin Nag was here. He knows these things. No, I'm sorry, I don't.
How many feathers on a Purdue chicken? How many fibers are intertwined in a shredded wheat biscuit?
That he knows these things. No, I'm sorry, I don't. But
it's just so those little skits, right? Just kind of break up the album, and the first time you listen to it, you're absolutely not expecting that kind of stuff.
No,
especially like you said, coming out of like the hardcore hip hop, gangster era, and you're just like, what these guys are like goofing around, and it just made the entire album really memorable and just so much fun for me. I remember,
and it gave them, I learned, reputation as hippies.
Yeah.
Which they did not like.
And they did not embrace that
no. At all. Which is why I think De La Soul is Dead feels so different.
Okay. Yeah.
I also learned that there was maybe some beef with Arsenio over the whole.
Oh,
I guess
really?
he introduced them as the hippies of hip hop.
Oh.
And so
I'd love to see that clip.
Well, I didn't find I found an article.
Oh, okay.
So they didn't like it, and then I guess there's some lines in some tracks where they're thrown. Yeah. But we skipped to 1990.
Oh, yeah.
And over to Tribe. People's instinctive travels in the paths of rhythm. And again, just sitting down to sort of take all this information in. It's just so crazy that Fife passed 8 months before the Fife and the Trugoy stuff. But these guys, if you want to look, if you're interested in comparing the two groups, commercially successful, way more commercially successful than Tribe.
Oh yeah,
yeah. All 6 of their records either gold or platinum.
Oh, no. So Tribe more successful.
Yeah. If that's your measuring stick, is sales.
Yeah.
And it is in a lot of lanes.
Sure. I can see that. I could see that.
So, and then they were on. I remember. What was the Facebook post you shared where you're like, "Damn, I missed this last night," and it was
Jimmy Fallon
featuring.
It was the last one was it was De La Soul.
Yes.
And some Black Thought stood
right
for True.
Right. Yes, and there was very very homage-y. Was there something visible, or did they just have like a moment of silence or say something? I don't remember, but it was amazing. And then I see that the day after we got it from here, Thank You for Your Service, they were on SNL.
Oh.
I didn't know that. And performed in front of a mural of Fife.
Okay.
I was like, how do I keep missing,
I think I remember that as well, and I don't think I saw it live.
Okay. I definitely want to look it up, though.
Yeah. I have to go back and watch that one.
Yeah, man. I mean, when we get to the end, again, it's the same. It's so wild. Just I wrote it down, read it once, wrote it down, reading it again. It's still weird. But by the time they're putting out, we got it from here. You've got Andre 3000, Kendrick Lamar, Jack White, Elton John, Kanye West, Anderson .Paak, Talib Kweli, Busta Rhymes. It's like, did you miss it? Did you leave anybody out? I mean, that's everybody.
Beethoven.
Oh man! I also learned that apparently Low End Theory inspired The Chronic.
Oh really? I can see that.
Crazy, but so. Right out of the gate, push it along. Track 1, 7.5 minutes.
Is it really?
Ballsy.
I get like it just flows so effortlessly.
Yeah.
I don't even think I realize.
Right.
The length of some of these songs.
Yeah. Jerobi quit in 1991 to go to culinary school. What? So it's so funny to me that there's a term called pause tapes.
Okay.
Have you heard this?
No.
I had to look it up. Q-Tip created much of the album's production on what they're calling pause tapes in 10th grade.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I think the first syllable I ever heard out of his mouth, I was like, that guy sounds gifted.
Yeah.
Like, he just sounds so sharp.
Mm-hmm.
But, so what they're talking about is dual cassette. Recording and just using the pause feature.
Really?
So he's recording samples, a sample here and he puts it here, and then he was recording another one and but he's just using pause. But they call them pause tapes.
That's incredible.
I love there's a lot of TikToks I see where people our age are asking like their kids here's a list of terms from the 80s. Tell me what you think this means. And they just whiff gloriously. Clue. So I saw one the other day, and it was a set of parents, and it was like two, I don't know if they were buddies or brothers, but there's a rotary phone sitting there, and they're like, if you can dial this number, you get $50 or something. Yeah. And they were like, you know, you remember the windowsill alien Muppets from Sesame Street?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, they were like,
just mouth agape.
Yeah, like, they would like, oh, I think if you have a 0, you got it. And then if they would mess up, they would lift the receiver and set it back. Like, that's gonna erase. It's like, you actually need to have that part up to start with, but and they didn't. They failed completely.
Clue. Yeah, no.
Pause tapes.
I've never heard of that before.
Yeah. I mean, I also just kind of recently learned mixtapes. Yeah. I mean, because again, it's like mixtapes. You know, that's what I used to make for my crushes. Right. But nowadays, it's like it's a way for you to put a record out without going through your label, and you just are offering it for free. Yeah. It's funny that it has this, right? Isn't that the...
You would know better than I
mean, like, who's the king of Lil Wayne? Lil Wayne, I guess, has got, you know, a ton, and they're all amazing, and anyway. So yeah, that studio session, you got Jungle Brothers, Queen Latifah, and De La Soul were all there recording in their own rooms while Tribe recorded in theirs. Wow. I mean,
the who's who,
right?
Hip hop royalty.
So Q-Tip said it was exciting. We were kind of left to our own devices. I love this so much. It was just a great environment conducive for creating. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have a bunch of things to tear at us. When we got to the studio, the specific job was to make music. There was no TV in there. It was all instruments and speakers. It was just music. Yeah. And I feel like that's palpable. Yeah. I mean, there's focus. Like you said, it just starts and you're kind of lost in it, you know?
Absolutely.
There was, I guess we'll get to it. There's some beef between Tip and Fife for this record, because I guess he didn't take it seriously. But anyway.
Who, Fife?
Yeah. Like really? I got a quote from him coming up. Push It Along, Luck of Lucian, After Hours as your opening trio. Yeah. Come on. I mean, it's already better than 3 Feet High. Yeah. To me.
Yeah. I'll
and I'm the Daylaw guy, right?
I'm the Daylaw guy. Yeah. I'll give you that.
Can I Kick It is the hero, though. Yeah. I don't know if you know, just spoke in the vicinity of my phone, and then here's a T-shirt, and it's, do you know what it is?
No.
It's Lucy holding the football for Charlie Brown, and he says, can I kick it? And she says, of course you can. I was like, send me 40 of those now. So Q-Tip's the only member present for all of the recording sessions for this record. So Fife says, I was being ignorant. That's why I was only on a couple of tracks, which I was like, was it?
I had no idea.
I was hardly around. I would have rather hung out with my boys on the street and got my hustle on rather than gone in the studio. But Tip and Ali really wanted me to come through and do my thing. So, I mean, I guess he was just kind of like, yeah, whatever.
Like, I'll come around when I come around.
Yeah.
Wow. I had no idea. That's amazing.
So these guys, you know, there's plenty of guys and gals from the 70s that, you know, sort of set the table for the people that would follow to just buffet style take sample, right?
Yeah.
Jazz and blues and R&B. I mean, there's so much music created in the 70s and the 80s. And I mean, I think about DJ Shadow and his 60,000. I mean, this 1999, 2000. I saw an article where he has like a whole, like a wine cellar full of vinyl. He's got 60. Then he had 60,000. Right. And it's just like still
coming in,
learning, discovering, you know. Anyway, so these guys, you know, I know folks were saying, like, to me, Digital Underground, that was my that's where I first learned of sampling.
Okay.
Because I was like, it sounds like Parliament. Like, I don't, what do I know, or what do I, you know, bunch of different riffs. But these guys really, I mean, that TikTok I sent you of the dude that broke down I Know.
Yeah.
And it's...
Oh, I love stuff like that.
There's 5 layers in there, and all of them are amazing by themselves. Yeah. And they figured out like the perfect way. I mean,
to pull them out, chop them up, like, oh, maybe this sounds better slowed down, and then I can divide that into 2 different sections. Let me take this next part, reverse it, and get a different sound.
Yeah.
So much goes into it that I had no idea.
So for me, they're the undisputed kings of both outfits. And the best analogy I could come up with was like, for most of the 80s until 86 or 87 when I first heard the name Mike Tyson, boxing really only meant Sugar Ray Leonard.
Okay.
That's who was visible to me.
Yeah.
And it just seemed like and I wasn't looking for it, but every time I turned around and saw him, he was just cleaning house, just kicking people's asses left and right.
Yeah.
And so, that's who I first samples. And being the Kings, that's who they're Sugar Ray all day to me.
Yeah.
By the way, fucking 5 titles in 5 different weight classes.
Sugar Ray Leonard?
That guy.
He was not, what's funny is he was not my favorite of that era.
Because?
Hagler. Because of the Hagler fight.
Yeah. Oh, tell me.
So, oh my God. So, and maybe I was in 8th grade. So,
okay.
85, maybe, is when it was Hagler, Leonard, Duran, Hearns. Mugabe, just a who's who.
Okay.
And they were all middleweights.
Yeah.
And so finally they got the Hagler Leonard fight to be a thing, right? And I think the perception was Hagler was this like the bald bull, the bully, the mean dude. And Leonard was like the, likable whatever. So they finally get him in the ring. And to me, Hagler wins hands down.
Oh, what did it go to decision?
It went to decision, and they gave it to Leonard. And I was like...
You watched the whole fight?
I remember watching the entire fight.
Okay.
I was like... That was the first time in sports where I was like...
That was your first it's rigged?
This doesn't seem right at all. There's no way he won that fight. And I still, to this day, I will die on that hill. Hagler won that fight.
Wow. Okay. Well, nevertheless, I definitely... Hearns, Hagler, and who was the...
I said Duran.
I remember hearing the name.
Roberto Duran.
But I didn't see a lot of boxing, but I definitely... Those 3... But it just seemed like... it's especially in the early 80s, it seemed like Sugar Ray was the face of boxing.
Yeah,
and I didn't know for years and later that he was not a heavyweight.
Yeah,
I was like, he was. He did look like a kind of a slim little
shredded,
guy.
But he was, yeah.
Well, People's Instinctive is an absolutely fantastic record to me.
Yeah,
and we're not keeping score, but it blows 3 feet out of the water for me.
For you, it's no contest.
But I didn't have that experience of going and getting it, and you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you did with 3 feet.
3 feet. I'm trying to remember my introduction to 3 feet. So I think it would have been maybe the summer before my freshman year. And I went on a trip with somebody. My dad had friends all over the country, and a lot of I had kids my same age. So I think we went and we were somewhere, and I was hanging out with his kids or whatever, and they were like, "You want to go to a party with us?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." So while they were getting ready for this party, he puts on 3 Feet High and Rising. And I remember that, and even more so than the record, I remember the the stereo setup because I'd never seen anything like it.
I was immediately curious.
Just
is this on cassette?
One of the Tower stereo systems, and he had like these big subwoofers.
Okay.
And then separate on top were the tweeters.
Really?
I was like, what is this? Because at that point I had a boombox.
Yeah, mine.
I can take mine wherever I go.
Yeah.
And he put that on, and I was like, oh, well, okay. And I was like, I kind of like this. I remember sitting back and laughing and enjoying it, and then I think I lost track of it until I got to KU.
Okay,
and
so
I was like, I bought it.
Remind me again, where in the mix was Florida? Was that after KU? Or?
That was after
okay.
KU.
Okay.
Yeah.
So high school KU and not having fun, not digging it, or not doing well.
Not doing well.
Not doing well. Okay.
I needed something to kind of. My
That's
dad
right.
was like,
your dad swooped in and was like,
"Yeah,
down here.
You go here."
Right. So De La Soul is Dead, 1991, 27 tracks, 73 minutes, and it's got Tom Waits samples.
Does it really?
Yeah.
I need
at least
to write
one.
that down, as a matter of fact, because I do want to remember.
We got
Tom Waits.
pen and paper over there. If you,
you know what, I can take a note.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yes, the Arsenio beef.
Is that where it came from?
Yeah.
Is this album?
Tracks
off of that.
I think the tracks, yes, where they're supposedly dissing him and possibly in the intro. So I guess there's a whole story with this record. Like the intro, there's a kid that finds a De La Soul tape in the trash.
Okay.
And it wraps up touching back on it, and I lost track 47 different times across the listen.
Yeah.
But I was like, and so somehow it's woven in, whether it's character X in the story of this tape in the trash is Arsenio or what.
Oh.
It's something like that.
Yeah.
But they might even say his name. But I also learned that Stan is a term.
Like the kids use it today, Stan?
Or reviewers.
Okay.
In the business. And it goes to the Eminem song.
Mm.
You know, the track with Dido.
Okay, yeah.
Tea's gone cold. Anyway, and Stan's the crazy.
Yeah, he's the fan.
So if you're like a super fan, you're a Stan.
You're a Stan.
Yeah. Not capitalized, though. I was like, fix that. That's weird. It's not. It doesn't mean anything if it's not capitalized.
Right.
But Peas Porridge for track 4 and Can I Kick It? I mean, Can I Kick It? Shout out. But so... Yeah, there was, at least in my mind, there was, or maybe there wasn't, and now there is, divisiveness about whether or not it's a good album.
Yeah, let me look at the track.
Yeah.
Because I remember I had kind of lost track of De La after 3 Feet.
Okay.
And so my friend Karen introduced me to this album.
Did she come up in your first episode too? Yeah,
she did.
Popular lady.
She was, big part of my life there for a hot second.
She wasn't the Pearl Jam one, was she?
She wasn't the Pearl Jam one. Yeah.
I've told that story a couple times. I was like, this guy was listening to the CD at home and the tape in the car, and this lady was like, "Are you serious?
Are you done with this yet?" I'm trying to remember what song it was after that was on here.
On De La Soul is Dead.
De La Soul is Dead. Was it the popular one was Ring Ring Ring. Ha ha hey hey. That was their big one, but then there was another song off of here, and I can't remember the name.
Okay.
Where I was like, oh, this is really good.
Well,
but it wasn't. This was not my favorite album.
No, it's not. It's not. But I no longer would say it belongs in the trash.
Right. No.
Like the story. No. There's definitely some good parts of it. Roller skating jam named Saturdays featuring Q-Tip. Yeah. So here we are again.
Crossover.
And Vinia Mojica, whose name comes up another time on another female voice. Okay. I mean, tops.
Yeah.
And just sick beats, great scratches. I mean, and of course samples. And then WRMS's dedication to the Biddy features the guitar riff from Dear Mama.
Okay.
You know that tune by Tupac?
Let me think. No, I'm not. I can't hear it.
Well, it's a very tender, like Tupac's not mad for a change. And it's so it's
yeah. I was trying to picture the guitar.
Oh, it's
okay. No,
I mean, it just does that kind of over and over again. You recognize it, but I was like, what?
Okay, I got it. I can hear it now.
So, Biddy's in the BK Lounge.
Yes,
whack, so good.
It's really, really good.
And then just man, I'm somebody who has been called many times, and including by myself, a hippie.
Uh-huh.
Like, sometimes people think it's a dig, and I'm like, yep, wash me with it.
Yeah.
I just,
take it.
Thank you. Don't understand why they would be so upset.
Yeah.
'Cause maybe there's an implication that you're, not a pro and you're a stoner and you're unorganized, and maybe that's soft.
Yeah.
But I guess soft could have been mistaken for fun. The vibe of 3 Feet High.
Yeah.
Soft, because 1989 is right up against. I mean, Too Short and Ice-T. And a lot of people are putting out some hard records.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe that would be it. But I always embraced that shit. I don't know.
Yeah, I loved it. Don't look.
There's some funny voices. You better see. Just and then okay. Do you know Too Short? Don't Fight the Feeling?
Yeah.
Okay. So you remember the lady that raps? So it's Too Short, rapping Forte.
Yeah.
And this lady who the best I could come up with was she was part of Danger Zone. It's like, why is her name not visible? But so it starts off and he's like, you get this. Say ho. Oh, you know me? And then so he just, I mean, he's one of the best of all time.
Yeah.
Like rap and verse wise.
Yeah.
So clever, such punch, such delivery. And so he goes off being like, men rule the world sort of, and you will, whenever I say get over here and do something,
what's Too Short's favorite word?
Yeah. And then she comes back.
Yeah.
And they call you yuck mouth. You forget to brush. I mean, line after line. Yeah. Destroys him.
Comes right
and I think
back
it's the same girl.
Oh, really?
I'm like, how could one human be on, 2 different amazing tracks and not get a credit listing, or even on the wiki? Like, what the heck?
Huh.
Anyway, it might not even be her, but it sounds a lot like her.
Yeah.
Afro Connections at a high five in the eyes of Hadlam. Really remarkable. It's also at this point, the album's kind of at the halfway point, coaxing me to love it, which is not my initial, experience.
Yeah.
And so then it's kind of like, Death, Taxes, and De La Soul is Dead is a shitty album, are the 3 truths to life. And now all of a sudden I'm like, what else have I been mistaken?
Yeah.
It's so weird how, I had somebody, the last episode, we're talking about, so my guy Josh that did episode 2, he came back and did another one, but he is going down the Wu-Tang rabbit hole with me, which is 80 records.
Yeah. Oh my God, is it really?
7 Wu-Tangs.
Yeah.
And then you got 9 or 10 dudes.
Yeah, just doing their own stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
80.
Yeah.
80.
Holy crap.
Somehow we managed to cover the Wu-Tang 7 in like an hour and 15 minutes. So I guess we,
Right.
And then all of the solo guise. So at the end, he drew one out, and we have inspect the deck.
Okay.
Who's first?
Okay. All right.
But yeah, it's just like weird, like all these 36 chamber into the Wu-Tang 36 chambers, was I was like, this is not good, and I just never went back. And then I went back when I started doing this, and I was like, I still don't like this record. Yeah. It's just not that good for me. But it's been a lot of other people's 3 Feet High and Rising. Yeah, they love it, and I'm like, Cream, Get the Money, Dollar Dollar Bill is a great track. Yeah. But anyway, Millie pulled a pistol on Santa, which is musically fantastic and also taking on, child abuse, basically.
Oh, yeah.
Or, like, hey, we're going to have a stance on a serious issue that happens, and sometimes people don't even know.
It's not happy, shiny.
No.
It's not hippie music.
Kicked out, yeah, exactly. Mission accomplished, gentlemen.
Yeah. Get it?
Kicked out of the house. It's like every track I listen to, I'm like, it's actually kind of a good album.
Yeah.
Pass the Plugs with Hat Tip to Maceo Parker and James Brown, and that's the one where they're addressing the Arsenio stuff.
Oh, okay.
Pass the Plugs.
Maybe I'll have to go back and listen to that again.
So not easy to assimilate on first listen, but the rewards are great if you stick with it. Stephen Thomas Erlewine said in a review.
I think it was for me, it was such a departure from
3 Feet.
3 Feet.
Yeah.
That I was like, initially I was like, I can't get into this. Yeah. I don't know what it is. I don't like it.
I said Ring, 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 Ha Ha Hey is one of the finest cuts we've been given so far between the two groups. Really good track. Keeping the Faith, so good. All Facets, a masterpiece, really. I mean, I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. Yeah, when I went back, like the day that I was listening to them all, and I was just listening like the entirety of the album, I was like, you know what, this is much better than I remember.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. But 91.
Oh.
Low End Theory.
Yeah.
14 tracks, 48 minutes. This is where Vinny and Mojica comes up again. Track 4, Butter, is where things really kind of start to. It's a little slow out of the gate, this one. Verses from the Abstract, OG of shout-outs. Vibes and stuff. You got Grant Green, guitar samples. Pete Rock. That's another dude. Pete like right now, Pete Rock and Jay Dilla are like near the top of the list of dudes I need to look into. Yeah. Because I've just,
And I think Jay Dilla is kind of having a resurgence. And because he had an album come out maybe not too long ago that was like Return of the 3000. It's that automated machine that they use to put some tracks together and create beats and that kind of stuff. And I could totally be wrong, but
wow,
I'm pretty sure that he's had a little bit of a resurgence lately.
Did you know John Ingle from McCoy's? Anyway, he did an episode, and he just casually kind of mentioned in the middle of a thought that Rakim is still his favorite MC of all time. Okay. He was just here like last night.
Oh, that's right. He did come through town.
Yeah, I saw it, and I was like, oh, shit, man. Yeah. I sent it to him. He's like, I can't go.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, wow. Anyway, I feel like, Pete Rock's coming up. Jay Dilla's coming. And Jay Dilla, every time he comes up, it's like there's like 7 artists that he kind of put them in the right spot or down the right path. I mean, like a lot of credit, I think, is a lot of hat tips to that guy. And then I'm sure he did shit of his own too. It's like, got to fucking figure that out. Check the Rhyme. I love this record, and I love that Fife is more of a part in the mix in the tracks like this. But I do think there's just some sleepy element to the record as a whole. Yeah. Compared to People's compared to the first one. I love it. It's a great record, but it doesn't have like, you know, a ton of punch or a ton of like big bangers.
Yeah. But for this one, I'm pretty sure this is the album that Electric Relaxation is on.
Absolutely it is. And that's to me, that has always been the measuring. That's how I can gauge Tribe's sound. Mm-hmm. Electric Relaxation. If it sounds like that, I'm like, oh, it's Tribe. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
And
it is, to me, Electric Relaxation is the perfect hip hop song.
It's fantastic.
It is amazing.
You know, and probably unfairly, like I probably don't know and definitely don't mean to. I'm probably comparing. Anytime I'm hearing a new Tribe song for the first time, I'm like, but
it's not.
But how does it compare to Electric Relaxation? Yeah. Jazz, we've got good stuff. Push It Along, shout out. When the genre is redefined and the window is so small, it's hard not to freak out. That said, What is so freaking awesome? You know that tune? It's the one that's like asking a bunch of questions, right?
I
think it's the one that's got the there's like a funny pause laid in it, and they mention it, and Dougie Fresh gets a shout out. It's such a good song. It's late, and
I was going to say it's later in the
album,
right?
Yes, very late.
Much late in the album.
Track 13.
Okay.
Right before Scenario, which is the closer.
Yeah. Another one.
Nope. And Busta
pops up on Scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
Way back then.
Yeah.
Way back then.
Leaders of the New School. I think he was probably. Had he gone solo at that point? Maybe he had.
I could do a quick pee break if you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Are you good?
Absolutely.
You need anything?
No, I'm. Yeah, golly. Verses from the Abstract. Mm-hmm. It's got all that heavy jazz bass.
Yeah.
Like almost every track in it.
I just remembered that there were I guess unsaid or unspoken in the Arsenio thing was it's weird to me. I watched the shit out of that show like every night.
Yeah.
And it didn't like take the place of, it didn't replace a program that I used to watch at that time. Mm-hmm. But it made me, like I knew of course I'd seen Carson. I knew of Letterman, but I was like, that guy's weird. I don't know. Which was a strange thing to think because I'm way more in line with him, I think, on a personal level as an adult than I would have ever been with Carson. But it was like, I just like don't think I've missed Arsenio much. Like I was always, like I love, I don't know. I mean, he had the crowd, the whoop, whoop, whoop. And, this I feel like he really opened a lot of doors in the entertainment industry for the everyman that is just at home with, So I think that, so you have this element of, for Black America, like basically like, he was on before Oprah, right? It's the first Black talk show host. Is he?
Well, I think he was more popular. They may have come along. Yeah.
Either way, it's definitely, this is a first. There's somebody doing a thing I've seen white people do, and he looks like me.
Yeah.
But also, so there's that, which is nothing to dismiss. It's not small potatoes. But there's also this sort of unspoken knowledge that this guy he has hip hop artists and rap stars and all the people that you weren't seeing on those other shows.
Yeah, you weren't seeing them on.
And so for De La to get, they're sort of checking two boxes and exposing them, getting exposure, and then for him to introduce them as the hippies of hip, they're probably like, man, what the fuck, dude?
What are you doing?
Anyway.
Start beef right now?
Buhloone Mindstate.
Yeah.
1993. 15 songs, 48 minutes. In Focus is track 3, and it's just a straight ass kicker.
Yeah.
And it's followed up by probably the more popular Patty Duke for track 4.
I'd have to go back and listen to that one again.
They say it 1,000. You got the Patty Dukes.
Okay. All right.
So it's a great song, and it features Guru, Maceo Parker, Fred Wesley, and Pee Wee Ellis.
Okay.
And it's like, what?
Yeah.
I mean, just of course there's some age difference and some industry experience difference, and et cetera, but it's like you got the horn section from one of the greatest performers in human history.
Yeah.
And then Guru.
Yeah.
He's going in the other direction. He's the whole, all the Gangstar and all these outfits, and you got him on a track together. It's like, dude.
Yeah.
Well played, De La.
Well done. Yeah.
I Be Blowin' featuring Maceo. So it's kind of a weird baton handoff. It's like all of these years and all these records that we've been sampling jazz and putting it in with our beats and our raps, etc. Now we're just got straight up jazz dudes recording tracks with us.
Yeah, coming in and yeah.
And Maceo, man, he's got. You ever seen him or listened to any of his stuff?
I recognize the name.
Okay, so he's James. Fred Wesley, Pee Wee Ellis, Maceo Parker. Those are all James Brown, J.B. Horns guys. And Maceo was the saxophonist, I believe. He came and played in Durango while I was in school there, and I went and, just exactly, in hindsight, exactly what you would expect, in that it was like, a 2-hour plus show where people are just, the artists are just fucking dripping with sweat because they're working so hard to put on a good show. And they've, definitely one of the first times I was present for, seen rock bands be like, give it up for Slash and Izzy and, whatever.
Yeah.
But to, take a whole little chunk of a minute to be like, this is my man, and we're just going to stand here and
just let him do his thing.
And also, but, the crowd's got to give it up.
Yeah.
Lot of, anyway, he's got at least 2 records. I have both of them on CD. I'm sure he's got more than that, but 2 that are amazing.
Okay.
One is a live record. And God, it's so fucking good. Yeah. And then I have a studio one of his, not bad also, but, that's, to me, 1993 De La featuring Maceo. It's like the who's who.
Yeah.
This is whatever's happening in this room right now it's all of the things. Just super cool. Ego Trippin' Part 2.
Okay.
One of the best songs ever written, not just De La. Do you know which one that is?
I would probably know it right away.
It comes in with like a little ding, 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 and then someone's going, mercy, mercy, and then
yes.
God, it's
that's so good.
I had probably March 4th. I think I had a couple or 3 6th grade girls and a couple of 3rd grade boys. I don't remember where we're going, but I just hit that spot in Buhloone Minds for that song. And there was all these layers of conversation, and all of a sudden there was nobody talking. Finally, my daughter's like, "Dad, what is this?" I'm like, "One of the best songs ever written. That's all you need to know."
Yeah.
And really, it's strange to me that I been plenty of chapters in my life where I'm like, that's not a song.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't do X and Y and follow the mold. But it's so goddamn good.
Yeah.
3 days later, it's track 9. It's a baller, but after that, the record kind of falls off a little bit for me.
Is It So Easy? Is that on this album, or is that on?
No, I think it's on Stakes. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then wait.
This is the last Prince Paul record.
This is the last Prince Paul record. What's the name of it?
A track, a song name.
The track is golly. How am I drawing a blank on this? Like, it used to be the only, like, when they were like Boycott De La Soul, this would be the only thing I would stream this all the time, and I think it's on.
Who would say Boycott De La Soul?
Well, I mean, when they were saying Boycott Tommy
Boy. Okay.
So, oh man.
Is it a track?
It's a track.
Is it off Stakes, you think?
Maybe it's off Stakes, but I want to say it was. Golly, I'm gonna have to look.
Yeah,
because I'm Break of Dawn. God, how do I not remember that? That was like the only song that I was like, I refused to stop listening to this song.
Right. So this is the one where you got 93 and 93. So we got Midnight Marauders. Tribe coming out.
Okay.
Handful of months between this and Buhloone Mindstate.
Okay. All right.
And I'm going to skip ahead just for the purpose of this note, but there's a track on here called "Oh My God," and I think Bust is on that one.
Probably.
It's late.
Okay.
In the record, and it's oh my God, yes, oh my God. To me, that track is just as amazing as Ego Trippin' Part 2.
Yeah.
And they both involve shouting, which is, I'm always, like, when I first heard metal, I was like power chords and screaming, no thank you, sir. So it's, again, they're kind of tit for tat, putting out records. Your turn, my turn, and then all of a sudden it's like same year, and now we're down to same year but not month. And for me, Ego Trippin' Part 2 and Oh My God are so huge, and it's just all these coincidences. But track 3, Award Tour, and track 7, We Can Get Down, and track 8, Electric Relaxation, all just the 3 legs of the stool that prop up the record up, and Oh My God gets to stand on top of it. That's, for me, not a bad track on this record.
No, it's solid.
But people love the shit out of this album. Yeah. I mean, quietly, I think more people like it than maybe Low in Theory or Peoples.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think, I would probably agree with that.
Josh says that this and Enter the Wu-Tang 36 Chambers came out on the same day.
Oh, really?
I haven't looked it up, but apparently that's a known thing, and apparently folks have said that this is the jumping off point for the direction of hip hop, and it's all coming out of New York, basically.
Yeah.
So this is the record where Q-Tip had a key to Phife Dawg's grandmother's house, and he could just go, and all of his shit was in the basement. He could just go and work on stuff.
Really?
Whenever, and I guess he was working on other people's shit too. Like, I mean. He's again. It for me, it tracks that just hearing his voice for the first time and feeling like that guy sounds sharp. He is, and he was. I mean,
absolutely.
He did a track for Illmatic.
Oh,
yeah.
He was featured on the track.
I think he produced the track.
Produced it. Okay.
I'm not positive on that, but I'm pretty sure Yeah, so he's down there working on Tribe stuff and some Nas stuff and who knows what else. Just
hands everywhere.
I would think that basement should be a museum stopping point, if it's not already. I love this. I love that record, but again, those 4 tracks are like, they stand above the rest.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So this is where the bias comes in.
Okay.
1996.
Stakes. Okay.
18 songs, 68 minutes. 3 weeks between this coming out and then Beats, Rhymes, and Life.
Okay.
That's the one that would.
All right.
So first 5 tracks are solid. 0 slouches, but then we get Din in It, which is, I have goosebumps right now. So where are the ladies at? Hey, we chilling over here. Where the fellas at? We taking over this year.
Yeah.
And then where's the party at? And I think both ladies and guys say, that's right. And then he goes, Din in It. Yo, hey. It's so good. It's like the second best De La song ever written, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And the best De La Soul song ever written comes right after it, which is Breaks.
Okay.
It just right away you get this ding, 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 and it start right in with the verses. Verse after verse after verse are amazing, and then they wrap it up with maybe the most amazing verse, which is all of the scenarios where it's like a mother gets mugged by her crackhead son. That's the breaks. That's the breaks.
Yeah.
And closes it with your boyfriend made you a carrier of HIV.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have the refrain. It be your listening pleasures while you're doing your chores. No matter where you're from, it's for you and yours. Bringing it back to the breaks like the yes, yes, y'all. So let it be your anthem when you're having a ball. It's so amazing. And all the samples and all the musicianship that is in there. It's the absolute most perfect song.
Yeah.
I took the kids to Oklahoma for spring break, and we kind of just toured around Tulsa and Oklahoma City.
Mm-hmm.
And I was wherever I was. So this is like second, third week of March. So I was however far I'd gotten, since March 3rd.
Yeah.
And I had a moment, and I tabled the whole, I'm going to listen to all the De La. Yeah. Now that it's out there, I tabled it for that trip because I want, you guys pick songs, we got to mix it up.
Sure.
But I just, all of a sudden in the middle of, out of nowhere, I was like, I got it. I got to hear Din in It and Stakes, and it wouldn't work. It was like every track was working except for Breaks. Mm-hmm. And finally, it's like turning off my phone and cursing and finally got it to work. And my kids were just like, whatever. I was like, you guys.
Nothing. It drives me insane when I send stuff to my.
Also, when the song kicks off, so you get this little key, doom, doom, and they shout disco. Disco. And I can't gush about it enough. And that's like not even the midway. So you got a good start. You got Din in It. You got Breaks, and we're not even to the halfway point. So you get Dog Eat Dog. And uses the phrase "and I'm out" a bunch, and that's kind of how I feel after Din in It, Breaks. It's like a Dennis Green, Crown the Ass, and a Dave Chappelle mic drop at the same time, like that right there. That's the best.
Yeah.
Long Island Degrees is side A ends, and we talked about it in your first episode. I think this is the one where you kind of get the beat and the bulk of the song is fading, and you kind of get this like ragtime, and then somebody's interviewing a dude, a white dude, a very white dude, about rap,
Yeah.
And then it ends, and on cassette, it would stop.
Yeah.
So like you hear this, and
yeah.
then, anyway.
And you're like, what?
So, yeah, I know we talked about it before, but it's still very real and crazy and like impressive that they chose to put that in there.
Yeah.
So I said, let's pretend that was real and recorded around the time this album was being recorded. So 27 years ago, have we gotten any better?
Yeah. Has it moved forward much?
That's actually the question for you, though, is have we gotten any better?
Ooh. Yeah. I mean, I think that it's obviously become more. Well, are we talking about hip hop in general, or are we just talking about
racism and people getting along?
Ooh.
27 years ago versus today. Is it just wearing a different outfit?
I think it's just wearing a different outfit. Crazy, man. I do. I think with the rise of social media and people feeling safe behind anonymous keyboards and whatever else, and then these politicians and public figures that have this platform and they can reach millions of people, and they're like, hey, I feel like he feels
like Kid Rock and his Bud Light cans.
Don't even get me started on that, dude. Man.
I have to give the whole podcast a shower now that I said those two words,
dude. And somebody put up a picture somewhere along the way of him standing next to a drag queen drinking a Bud Light, and I lost it.
That's hilarious.
I was howling with laughter. Really, come on, dude.
So I was trying to think about this, and I was curious what your answer would be to that question of have we gotten any better? And I think that I've always viewed this funny word to use because of the two different meanings, but curing. Like, obviously, we need to cure our society of negativity and being gross and thinking of one as better in whatever way or multiple ways, but also like the actual, the culinary, you cure a bacon or you dry age something, and you sort of let the thing that you want develop. And now it's a different quality product, or like dry age. It's got to have time, and it gets gross, and you have to cut that and then let it get gross again. And I keep thinking that, like, it's like you ever had your heating element, your dryer shoot craps? And it's like you go and everything's kind of dry, but it's still a little wet. And you go, that's weird. It's usually, and then you do another 30 minutes and you go back and you're like, fuck, something's wrong. I keep thinking that, like, we start the dryer enough times, the clothes in there are going to be dry. I mean, take them out and fold them, but it's like, so, in that, talk to me about the women's college national championship game with Caitlin Clark and
Angel Reese
and the whatever.
John Cena
so
thing.
What I miss, I mean, I've been kind of keeping track. I mean, TikTok is feeding me like whatever kind of basketball content is out there. It's coming because I've gone down.
Right, sure.
So,
you go down the
so my daughter's science teacher is like a huge Iowa guy.
Okay.
And he, like, all of my sisters, my ex-wife, like, he's been there for like generations of people have had this guy as their science teacher. He's a huge Iowa guy. He's got he tells you that at Meet the Teachers Night. His emails always have, here's what we're working on and here's what's happening in the world of Iowa Hawkeyes athletics.
Yeah, he's die hard.
During football season, we lost it's like, okay. But he's been all Caitlin Clark 24, like, she learned about her 41-point triple-double before I did.
Yeah, she's an amazing basketball player.
So I didn't see, I went and watched like the 15-minute highlight of the national championship game, and I was like, God damn, LSU stomped them.
Yeah.
I mean, that girl with the blonde
Yeah.
I mean, she just couldn't fucking miss. Yeah. I mean, it was anyway, see a couple tweets, see a couple TikToks, watch those highlights. What I saw, or what I maybe gleaned, was that people in Team Caitlin Clark were like, she just did it in general, and then this girl's doing it to her face, and I was like, I didn't see enough to know, but I see that people are saying that.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
sure.
Do I even want to have a dog in this?
Yeah.
Is
it that big a deal?
Well, so, and then, so then you post.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I did.
And you're like, what's and I'm like, and then if Kate Amy right in there, helping, so I do too. She's fantastic, but I was like, no way, because she's come after me in your comment section before.
Yeah.
Probably Dr. Seuss.
Yeah, it was
related.
the Dr. Seuss stuff.
And I was like, no, thank you. I
want to get into this.
So, but tell me, like, that's, by the time I saw your post, that was all the information that I had. Yeah. What did it look like from you?
I mean, my issue is, like, I have no problem with bravado in sports. Right. I have no problem with thumping your chest and the John Cena thing. Is that
where that comes from?
Yeah,
okay. Because the receivers, like, I feel like the Broncos were doing it to us before Mahomes.
I mean,
even.
all that stuff makes its way through every sport. Has guys that talk shit, thump their chest, point at you and all that kind of. And it used to be like they finally got it in check because it was real bad in the NBA.
Throat slash gesture.
They were like, "Stop! You're not doing that at all anymore, ever." But like Sean Kemp used to dunk on people and then just like point in his face.
He was a little bullyish.
Yeah,
I mean,
but Jordan was the same way, right? He'd yell in your face, like inches from your nose, and he's screaming at you. So and even still, I mean, maybe as a kid, I'm like, oh, that's cool. And as an adult, I'm like, I get it, but tone it down just a little bit. But I still don't have a problem with it. So my issue wasn't the fact that either Caitlin Clark or Reese did it or what their proximity was, because everybody was like, well, Caitlin did it. It wasn't even the same game.
Right.
It was during the Louisville game, the game before.
Reese did not like when Caitlin. Did you see that?
Yeah. When she was like, just waved the girl off.
And then she didn't even shoot.
Way more disrespectful.
She didn't even shoot.
Than doing this to
somebody.
Hope
in a prayer that I'm going to switch that.
Oh yeah.
But
absolutely.
Damn. And so, but she commented. She's like, I don't take disrespect lightly.
Disrespect lightly. I'm bringing that with me to the national championship.
So, but I mean, I think where you're going with this, please correct me if I'm wrong, is that folks that look like Caitlin Clark were like thug, etc.
Classless behavior.
Yeah.
There's no need for that. This, that, and the other. But you didn't have that same energy two days ago,
right,
in the Louisville game. And and I don't know if she did it directly at a player, but there's a different angle that you can see when she does it. I don't know if she's kind of backing up or if she's going forward, but the Louisville team, maybe it's a timeout, and so they are passing each other.
Okay.
Now maybe they're 8 feet apart,
right,
10 feet apart, and she does it.
Who?
Caitlin when Caitlin Clark did it.
Oh,
but
okay.
She and the other girl that for Louisville, Haley Van Lith, I think, really good basketball player as well. Kind of jaw jacking back and forth too. And my thought is maybe it was kind of directed towards her, but it was definitely. But why else do you do those type of gestures, right? It's it's to get somebody else on the other team riled up.
Yeah.
I'm in your head. I want to throw you off your game, whatever the case may be. You don't see people just walking down the street.
There's something wrong with that person.
What the hell's wrong with you?
Get a white coat,
I
quick.
Can see you.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, my issue was everybody in the in the comment section was like thug behavior, classless team, this, that, and the other, but it was all directed towards the black girl. It wasn't none of this energy was directed at Caitlyn for doing the exact same motion.
Well, do you know who Caleb Presley is?
No.
Oh my God. So just to be absolutely clear, I cannot stand Dave Portnoy.
Barstool
yes.
Guy? Okay.
I'd never met him.
Yeah.
But I have just seen, almost everything I see is just like, ugh, and then he got in some trouble. He got in like a decent amount of trouble, like with allegedly treating women a certain way, and in his personal life and in Barstool.
Yeah.
So I really try to not let any of my social media stuff register for Barstool, and there's so much Barstool.
So much.
Caleb Presley is this long-haired, mustache-wearing white dude that interviews people one-on-one.
Okay.
And I think it's a barstool thing. I think he was doing it first, and they discovered him, and they're like, "Oh, we have to have you."
Yeah.
But he is, and then so he's one-on-one, and there's this this big fat dude they call Glenny Balls that sits off to the side and eats ice cream.
Okay.
With like a huge spoon. It's so weird. And he doesn't say much at all, but he's just, sometimes he's shirtless and sometimes he's got ice cream on him.
Oh Lord.
It's just whatever. I mean, it's shock effect. Anyway, but he's had like Michael Irvin and Aaron Rodgers, and like every episode, every interview is like somebody famous. And the Rodgers ones, they're fantastic.
Yeah.
And
what's his name again?
Caleb Presley.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's just somehow it wound up in my TikTok feed, and just I love all he's had Drake. I mean the list is huge.
Yeah.
So I can't not. That's the one way that I'll support Barstool is watching his, because I think it's really good. But Portnoy retweeted a picture or a clip or whatever it was, but it was very clearly Angel Reese and her doing that.
Yeah.
And he said, "Classless piece of shit."
Yeah.
And Shaq retweeted it.
Yeah.
And said, "So's your mother." And I tell you what, another lane that I spend a lot of TikTok time in is NBA on TNT.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Barkley and Shaq these days. I mean, all four of them are good.
Yeah.
But the two of them, have you seen Barkley's been on this big thing about all the women in San Antonio being,
being ugly,
big.
Yeah.
And then he finally figured out why, and it's because they have churros.
Because of the churros. Yes, I do remember seeing that one. Yeah.
Shaq is, stupidly at a young age, when was the Heat his first team? Was it him and Dwayne? No,
Orlando Magic. Was his first team, yeah.
But it was like he looked dumb. He couldn't hit a free throw to save his life.
Yeah.
It's sort of like De La Soul is dead.
Yeah.
Like Shaq's an idiot. Anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
I fucking love that dude.
Yeah.
He is hilarious.
Oh, I love Shaq.
He's tender.
Yeah.
He's sharp. He's
a really good business person.
Yeah.
Supposedly, yeah.
And he's very candid about money.
Yeah.
Like, I've done well. We don't need to say anything more about that.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, there was this one time when somebody was like, "I'm gonna, make you this offer," and he was like, "Get lost."
Yeah.
That's not near enough for what it needs to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he's still humble. Doesn't flaunt. He's been on Comedy Central roasts.
Yeah.
Or at least one of them. But anyway, I've really developed. I'm kind of back in the another place that I went to and stayed was the NBA's garbage. It's just traveling and dunks and no defense. And it's there's a little bit of truth to that, but I'm really opened back up more than I ever have been now.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's that, my kids are playing ball, but it's also because, I think that desk is one of the best bits of branding in professional sports.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
They're hilarious. Yep. They're human.
Yep. Very knowledgeable.
They mess with each other. Yeah. They're very knowledgeable. They both got the experience.
Yeah.
Anyway. But so, having that Long Island Degrees, end the way it does on the cassette, and you get the pop, and it's very deafening silence.
Yeah.
If you're on CD, you don't have that. It just blends right into the next track, which is Better Listen. And it's immediately like the first or second of that song is right back to business, right into this next track, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And it's like a salve
for
hearing that dude say that, no music in it, and they're just talking. That's out there, but also moving on to the next track.
Yep.
It's like we're keeping
moving. No time for that.
It's so easy.
That's a great one.
Yeah, hip hop staple by its very existence. 4 More is track 13, the perfect amount of sexiness sprinkled into great beats, great verses, and timely scratch. Both Tribe and De La, you don't get a lot of scratching, but they drop it in. When they drop it in, it's like, oh, that absolutely needed to go there. It works so well there.
Yep.
Big Brother beat featuring Mos Def gave us a hardness gut check, still brought super fun feel. Down Syndrome is, to me, literally David Wooderson from whatchamacallit, Dazed and Confused. Screaming, "I'm gonna blow your doors off" to the rest of hip hop. Pony Ride, give me a shady hammock and a breeze and a cold glass of lemonade on a hot summer day. # Team Winter. And then they come back. So to close, the closing minute of the final track is The Homeless Dude. Not that it heals the words from the racist dude, but he talks about kind of like, something will come up, and I think there's a beacon of hope in whatever the thing is, and then something else happens, and maybe I don't get something good to eat for like 3 or 4 days.
Yeah,
and I'm now 1 step forward, 2 steps back.
Yeah,
and he closes it by saying "Stakes is high."
Yeah,
and it's just, I don't know, man. I just think that the placement of those two clips are just genius.
Yeah.
And Stakes, I'm sorry, that's the second to last track. Stakes is high. Sort of seals it for me as far as it being a masterpiece. And then Sunshine, the judge's gavel slamming the little, whatever that piece of wooden square on the desk is. It's a masterpiece. I think it's the best album between the two by far.
Yeah.
Which is, there's a lot of really good records that both these groups put out.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I just, every time I listen to it, I can't help but gush and think that, I'm oftentimes, I'm like, not anymore, now that I've sat down and done this, but I used to think for the longest time, are all the people that are gushing about 3 Feet High and have they ever listened to Stakes is High? Because that's good. This is
really
like jump to light speed.
Yeah. And again, I think that 3 Feet will probably remain my favorite.
Sure.
But this is maybe their best album overall.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And it's leaps and bounds. Like, sound-wise, it's just completely different.
It is. And it's like, so why are we giving Prince Paul this credit? And again,
yeah,
all the other records are Buhloone, 3 Feet, and Dead. Great records.
Yeah.
But look what they did on their first record without him.
Without him. Sure.
Anyway.
Sure.
Beats, Rhymes, and Life. Staying in 96. 15 songs, 51 minutes. Debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200.
Really?
So people were like all about the Tribe
they were
by this point.
Ready for this one.
Because they've done People's, Low End, Marauders, and this is number 4, right?
And there's a 3-year gap here.
Right.
So people are like,
The Jam is where things really pick up. Track 4. It's the cleanest record they've done so far. Really, the Tip and Fife vibe is really bright to me in this.
Yeah.
Track 9, The Hop is nice.
Yes.
Track 10, Keep It Moving.
Yeah.
Feels like a solo Q-Tip record at this point. But that vibe was still in there, which is an interesting dichotomy. But this was this was a record that I thought I hadn't heard before, but as I started listening to it, I was like, oh no, I've listened to this. Yeah. And it's good, but I don't have a deep relationship with it.
Yeah, the connection, that you might not
Do you?
have with. No, not as much as like Marauders.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, absolutely.
It's good stuff though.
Yeah.
And
no, it is really good stuff. Like The Hop, and what was the other one you just mentioned?
Keeping It Moving.
Keeping It Moving.
Yeah.
The Hop, and then there was one more you mentioned. The
Jam.
The Jam.
Yeah.
Yeah, those I know that I have those on separate tracks as well. Pulled.
So De La's kind of out of the mix for a second, and we get back-to-back Tribes with the Love Movement.
The Love Movement.
98. So this is where this is the first record between the two groups that it comes out and I'm aware of them.
Okay.
All of it was, like I learned about Tribe and De La, and everything else was already out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, there's a sort of, I feel cool and special and important. Like it came out, I was like, I got it. We haven't seen you at any meetings before. Like, who are you?
We're gonna have all new members stand up and introduce themselves.
So yeah, I mean, I'm dialed in now, and I think we get a punchier start from them. We've got started up with track 1, Find a Way. Track 2, and then track 3, Da Booty. I mean, just real, I feel like they kind of have had a tendency to sort of they sprinkle in some stuff, and then they kind of warm up a little bit, and then they're going.
Pull you in, and then let's go.
But this is just right out the gate. Track 4, Stepping It Up, Busta and Redman.
Okay.
And then track 5, Like It Like That. Just keeps going. Every track after that is solid, but if not, you get a little Tribe sleepiness after that fire start. But picks back up again for me. Track 15 with Rock Y'all. I mean,
I have to go back and listen to this. This is probably the album that I'm least familiar with. Like I've listened to this the least amount of time. Excuse me.
So so that's 98. And then 2000, we get Artificial Intelligence Mosaic Thump by De La.
Yeah.
So now I've got one from each group now that I'm current and on board as a fan.
Right.
And, I was real, I liked the Love Movement. I listened to it a lot.
Yeah.
And the Q-Tip put out a solo record somewhere in the middle of all this.
Yeah, I can't remember if it was Amplified or
that's
was it Amplified?
That's the one.
Okay.
But this comes out, and 18 songs, 67 minutes, and just blew me away.
Yeah.
So 3 Feet, Dead, Buhloone, Stakes, they're all fantastic in their own regard. But to me, this album said, "We're the pros. Like, check this out."
Yeah.
I've just always loved tracks 1 through 5 are fantastic. 6 through 9 are decent. Track 10, All Good, featuring Shaka Khan.
Oh yeah,
it ain't all good.
Yeah.
Oh, I love things that. Ain't going. Oh, yeah, that's so fun. And she belts out a couple of lines in there, and you're like,
I'm trying to get my daughter to listen to some old Shaka Khan stuff.
Okay, like I was like, you still got pipes like that?
Oh yeah.
After all, all these years.
Here. So my daughter she had an audition for one of her musicals coming up.
Okay.
She had picked the song out. She was going to sing Landslide by Fleetwood Mac.
Okay.
Right? Decides she doesn't want to do it because it's not punchy enough. She doesn't think it's going to stand out enough. And then she's having trouble deciding what to do. And I'm like, why don't you sing I'm Every Woman by Shaka Khan? She was like, and she goes, who's he? And I was like,
shit.
Oh my God.
Paternity test. Shit, yeah. That was about as quick as my COVID test.
Like, who is he? I was like, first of all.
Right.
Shaka Khan is a woman.
Yeah. I definitely, when Feel For You came out, I was like, that must be the dude playing keys or something.
Yeah.
And then it's like, no, dipstick. It's the fucking lady. The most prominent sound in that track.
Yeah.
That's who she is.
Okay. Sorry. I forgot about that track. And then you said Shaka Khan. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot.
That's such a fucking good track.
Yeah.
That was also, like I remember a very young me having antenna wiggled when the way that the Shaka Khan track starts. Shaka Khan.
Yeah.
Shaka. I was like, whoa, what's going on?
What are we doing?
Is that a 6-string guitar? No. But the rest of the record is fun. Can't say I'm a fan of the closer. You Don't Want a BDS featuring Freddie Fox with 3 X's is pretty aggressive.
Yeah.
But it's the only thumbs down. Other than that, and then Bionics, right?
Yeah.
Next year.
Yeah.
2001, and I was like, I felt, I had Adam Boyd on for episode 13, and he gave me a pretty big list of records, and one of them was Enter the Wu-Tang 36 Chambers.
Yeah.
And I was like, I still don't like this record when I listened to it. And he sat right there and said, when I first heard this record, I was like, oh, this was made for me. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
White boy from the Northland is resonating with, okay.
Yeah.
When this came out, I was like, because I didn't want it to not be as good as Mosaic Thump. And I was like, oh, we're here, guys. We're here. Like, and I remember, maybe not first listen, but second or third listen. It's late. I don't remember which track, but they've got a nice little ding, 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 ding kind of going, and a beat comes in, and maybe it's Fife, or I'm sorry, might be Dave actually. Just for a quick second, does a little self-hype for De La and says, hell yeah, AOI Bionics. Part 3 coming soon. Some DJ shit.
Oh.
That was 2001.
Yeah.
Never got it.
Yeah, got it.
I guess they were, so after this, they put out, what's it called? The Grind Date. 3 years later in 2000, and I guess they had made progress on AOI Part 3 and then put it aside and put out the Grind Date, like a whole other set of material.
Yeah.
So somewhere there's, I would think, the meat and potatoes of AOI 3. Anyway,
I had no idea.
This record is so fun, and it's got full on skit mode. You got the Reverend Do-Good popping in and out. I mean, the intro, track 1 into track 2, Bionics, is just soul cleansing. And then for several tracks, it's kind of like Christmassy. you kind of starting to get like these jingly kind of feels in some of the stuff they're sampling and putting out there. But by the time we get to track 6, Held Down featuring CeeLo. Oh my God! I
have to go back and listen to it.
It's so good.
Because I could probably kind of skip through this album.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So 1 and 2 are great, and then there's, I mean, one of them is literally they have sampled and are singing Simply Having. Simply, I mean, it's, and then, yeah, and it's a couple or 3 tracks in a row kind of just have that weird, it's like, what are we going out to Metcalf South right now for do some Christmas shopping? What's going on? Quote or lyric, I should say. Well, I feel the world around me. I've found that others will bring you down just to be down. You've got to make up your mind where you want to be. And then another talking about these people. They were looking for God but found religion instead. So there's a lot of sage, just crafty, intelligent lines. And the Reverend Do-Good's. I mean. He has one bit where and there's somebody's doing like a little church organ bed underneath every time he does it, shows up for a skit. But he talks a lot about Jesus. It's like they're making fun of evangelical. But he in my mind, I hear the voice in the skit, but the face is Little Richard.
Is it CeeLo that does the voice?
Oh, I don't know. I've never looked to see who it is.
I don't know, but I think CeeLo has done the Reverend Do-Good.
Okay. Well,
some other stuff
there's 2 pieces of it that I really love, and one of them because it starts off easy on the Jesus, and then by the time you're 3/4 of the way, he's just hitting you in the face with Jesus. And in one of them he says, I woke up this morning and you know why I feel good? And they're like, why? And he's like, 'cause she was still next to me. And then there's another one where he's like listing all these places, like open the closet, Jesus. I put bread in a toaster. You know what came out? And somebody's like, Jesus? He's like, no, toast. But he was right behind me. He was just so silly. Cracks me up every time. Track 8, Watch Out. Track 9, Special, or fun and introspective. 11 is The Sauce. 14, What We Do. 18, Trying People. All just trying.
Yes.
It's like kind of gospel or choir.
Yeah, it was so good.
And then this is also where we get, we've got the Reverend Do-Good, but we've also got all the Ghost Weed.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe that's what I was listening to. Was this the album I was listening to today? This may have been the album I was listening to.
It's the same thing. You get like, what did he say? You say Ghost Weed?
Yeah, Ghost Weed.
And then by the time you're far, like, they're talking about how insanely high that they talk somebody into trying it, and that person's like, shot to Mars, which is funny. Like, they've not a whole lot of talk about partying from either group.
Yeah, no.
So by this point we're 12 years deep since 3 Feet came out, and now all of a sudden they're really trying to quietly brand themselves as stoners. It was like just a minute ago you were mad that people were calling you hippies.
You don't want to be a hippie? What are we doing here?
So like I said, late in the record, I was like, I feel like we've arrived and I'm part of this. I can't wait. By the time AOI 3 comes out, I'm going to be like the local expert on 1 and 2 and surprise people. But because he says part 3 comes in, it never comes out. So I don't know how 3 years go by and Grind Date comes out and just completely off my radar.
Yeah.
Just no.
Same. Until I stumbled upon it.
Exactly. Like, exactly. Okay. So 13 songs, 53 minutes. Lot of critical praise.
Yeah.
A lot of good beats.
Yeah.
You got Jay Dilla, Common, Ghostface Killah, Flava Flav. But this was first listen. No, it was not. It was one of those where I thought it was going to be a first, and I was like, no, I've heard this before.
Mm-hmm.
But I just never came back to it, and it's not bad. It's not bad at all.
It's really not a bad album.
How many listens do you think you've given it?
The album, top to bottom, maybe 2.
That's exactly where I am. So it's like I don't really have any opinions worth mentioning beyond it's not bad.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I'm just going to sound like an idiot.
There's a few songs on it that I think at first I had like pulled onto other playlists because I was like, this may have been, was this maybe the first album that was available on streaming? Or was it?
I think you're right. Because it was outside of the window of whatever was already in place.
So I think and I was like, De La,
right?
Finally.
Yeah.
And so I listened to it and found a couple of tracks that I did enjoy.
Okay.
And I pulled those on track.
Yep.
So, but like top to bottom, maybe
same.
Twice.
Same.
Once, twice.
So I need to spend a little bit more time with it.
Yeah, I do too.
This completely caught me off guard.
Yeah.
Plug 1 and Plug 2 present First Serve.
Yep.
Which is 8 years after Grind Date. And I guess there's a story.
I'm unfamiliar with this.
So First Serve is a fictitious hip-hop duo.
Okay.
That go in to do something. I don't know what the story is. I saw a couple people talk about it, and one person was just presenting it. Oh, they did this, and another person was like, it kind of takes away from. I was like, shut the fuck up. Like, I just want to hear the music.
Yeah.
And it's really weird. I guess it makes sense that the newer material from both outfits there's less info.
Sure.
Available. Like, you go to 3 Feet's wiki page or Low in Theory, and it's like, the little scroll thing is this small because there's so much. It's like, God. And then this is like, these guys put out this record. Here's the track listing.
Yeah.
It's like,
That's it? That's all you got?
Can everybody still go on Wikipedia? Why is nobody going on here?
Yeah. This was completely off my radar. I didn't know anything about this one.
Really good opening track.
Mm-hmm.
And it never lets up. Oh. It is. Yeah, I was like, and it's 16th, track 9. I'm like, when's the shitty shit gonna come?
Yeah.
And then it was 10, 11, and then I was like, I got to figure out what's going on. And that's when I found the person that was like, just because all the beats are perfect and the raps are fantastic and the sampling's awesome, they're still telling this story, which does a little bit of disservice. I'm like, what are you talking about? This is amazing.
Yeah.
All the way through, every track, I was like, God damn, dude.
This is
2012. Yeah.
Discography.
Yeah, 2012.
Son of a bitch.
16 songs, 55 minutes. But I'm super. Who knows how many more years would have gone by before I listened to this if we hadn't agreed to do this.
Why does it say 2020?
They probably
redid
something.
Oh yeah, maybe it's a remaster.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. I was like, wait, this came out 2 years ago? Okay, 3 years ago.
And then
The Anonymous Nobody, The Anonymous Nobody.
Also, zero awareness.
I was
of
aware
this record
because
existing.
I was super hype that De La was putting out another album.
I don't. Okay. 17 songs, 68 minutes. You got Snoop, Pete Rock, Usher, 2 Chainz, David Byrne, many more. And it's got one good track on it. And it's Snoop's track.
Not my favorite.
Track 3 called Pain was the one that.
And the one that got to you?
And he doesn't show up until like two and a half minutes deep.
Yeah.
And it's really good even before that.
Yeah.
He doesn't make the track awesome.
Yeah.
He just adds a little awesomeness to it.
Yeah.
And so, it's very, very clean. It's a very clean, It feels very modern.
Yeah.
But it's a sleepy record to me. I'm like, I'm not.
Let me see the name of the track that I really love after this one.
Exodus was track 17. It's the closer. It was okay.
Royalty Capes is all right.
Okay.
That's the second track.
Okay.
And then oh no, what's the name of it? Not Trainwreck.
Well,
Memory of Us.
Okay.
Memory of. I love that song.
I mean,
I
this
absolutely
is,
love that song.
Silly to sit here, in April of 2023 and talk about, Grind Date, Anonymous Note, and be like, no, I'm sorry, let's leave Grind Date out. Just, we're talking about this record and me being like, it's not that good.
Yeah.
But my quick one-time hustle listen,
right, sure,
compared to the years that I've spent adoring almost all the other records in that it's not fair. It's not the same.
And I fall in the same boat, right? Just because you become so attached to the classic of, and it doesn't matter the genre. If one of your favorite artists came out with, you're automatically going to compare it to one of their earlier tracks.
Right.
That you absolutely,
right.
Oh, this is their best album. This is their best song.
Yeah.
Whatever the case may be. Yeah. I mean, I think that's human nature, right?
Yeah. They both got pretty wild and weird with the cover art here at the tail end. So that was 2016. Okay, both of them, they're 2016, I think. Yes, 2016. 16 minutes, 60 minutes. We got it from here. Thank you for your service. 2 discs, but it's only 16 songs in 60 minutes, so interesting choice. You know what else? I just remembered about Plug 1, Plug 2 Present First Serve. I guess there's a booklet with the CD that you can read along. That's why that person was like, I read along and it was taken away from what I was like, well, then put it down.
Put
just
the
listen.
damn booklet down. Listen to the music. What are you doing?
The Space Program. Excellent opener for disc 1. And then the rest of the disc, it's kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
I feel like, again, you're getting a lot of features. You're also getting a lot of new, new production, new sound, like new approaches. They're definitely in and out of both outfits for their last records are not sticking solely to hip hop.
Yeah.
Like this, there's some tracks in here that are like rock. There's some tracks in here that are kind of heavy.
Yeah.
And there's some spacey stuff happening here. So, and good for them.
Yeah.
Hey, this is what we're doing now.
Change it up a little bit.
It can't all be, Bonita Applebum until the end of time. Yeah. But Black Spasmodic is track 2 from disc 2, which is also good. And then track 6 from disc 2, Conrad Tokyo. I was like, this is pretty cool. Yeah. And then it isn't. It isn't pretty cool, like from start to finish. Like the second half of the song, I'm like, oh, I'm kind of over this. And then it closes with a track called The Donald.
Okay.
And I didn't look to see if they're talking about
that dude.
That one person that
one
time lived in the White House and now is probably going to go to prison.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
But it's I mean, I got them crossed for both of us, so it's a cool track regardless of what the topic is, and it's a nice closer. But I owe the whole record at least another listen because one isn't enough.
Yeah.
But
and I think that's probably part of the reason that I've been going back through, like the entire discography, like listening to the entire album, top to bottom. It's because I just want to, like, still be able to appreciate the older stuff and kind of relive it, but then the newer stuff that I'm not as familiar with, I'm trying to listen to it with an open mind and without comparing it to. And it's tough to do.
I think tough is an understatement.
It's really tough to do.
It's really tough to do. I mean, but it's like I haven't I'm not like a huge reader, and I never really have been, but I've had favorites. I have a lot of books that I own a lot of books that I haven't read. As I've mentioned on here before, I love the meme of the it's a huge, dramatic, heavy eye roll, and it's all the books that I haven't read when they see me buying another book. The other one is the ceiling fan blades when they see me changing my sheets, but they're like completely covered in dust. But the point is that I've definitely over the years had favorite authors and like loved one book or 4 books by an author, and then all of a sudden, not that it happened every time, but come across a book, you're like, oh, this isn't a very good book. Yeah. It's like, but it's by you. Yeah. You're supposed to just crank out A+ material, please.
That like, it just keeps me turning pages.
B- is chafing my skin, So like they're not all going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure.
But that gets us through there. I mean, I think that's maybe 16 records.
Golly.
I think you had 6 from Tribe, and I can't remember now, 8 or 9 from De La. Crazy, man. I mean, it's like the other thing is, it's sadly, never, ever, ever going to be 1989 again.
I know.
And even 1996. Yeah. I mean, both of them put out bangers.
I mean, I think that, and I think I said this when I was on here before, is that I really do feel like the golden age for hip hop is probably like 85 to 97.
Okay, yeah.
And I think, some of it I will attribute to, kind of being more immersed in the music at that point, and then getting a little bit older, and you're like, I don't really like the new guys, and this, that, and the other. Right?
Get off my lawn.
Get off my lawn. Why is that cloud shaped that way? But I mean, all good things change, right?
Yeah.
Music evolves.
Yep.
And there was. Have you ever watched the show Atlanta?
No, but I have just here in the last couple weeks been a couple TikToks.
Yeah,
and I'm riveting,
amazing,
and
show.
It's like the first time I'm like, what the fuck was that?
Amazing.
And then it maybe I sought out another one, but either way, I was like, okay, what has happened? I pause and go to the comments, and people are just like, by the hundreds, they're like, watch this now.
Yeah.
It's so, and I remember like seeing it advertised for like 4 seconds.
Yeah.
And then
it's on a FX TV or something like
anyway.
that. Anyway. Like, but there's a quote in one episode where he says, one of the characters, Darius, is having a conversation with this eccentric dude. He's gone to buy this piano. From him, and he's having a conversation, and somehow the subject of hip hop comes up, and he's like, "Oh, hip hop, the genre that was never really allowed to grow up or progress, or something to that effect."
Interesting.
And I'm like, I guess maybe there's some truth to that,
Yeah.
Because people are like,
or maybe this is growing up.
Maybe this is. And I mean, the stuff that's out now, my kid listens to, his favorite person right now is a guy named Yeat, Yeat, and like I listen to it and I'm like, I have trouble getting into it. I'm like, it's just not the same as this, right? But that's the growth, right? I'm sure when my parents were listening to, Marvin Gaye and Luther Vandross and that kind of stuff, and then the next guys came out like Boys to Men, and they were like,
youngster,
those guys,
yeah, right.
So I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, we went to Town Center yesterday. And we got in the car, and my daughter was like, I'll DJ. I was like, all right. So I just gave her my phone. She put on like 3 songs in a row that I like, that I never would have put on my own, but I'm familiar enough. Like, oh, these. She's like, you're probably not going to like this next one. I was like, that's fine. I'm sure you don't like every song that I put on. And I don't remember the name of it, but it was by Papa Roach.
Okay.
And it's very heavy. Yeah. And just right out of the gate. And I was like, oh, shit. All right. And then like 3 minutes in, I was like, that's enough. I try, Yeah. It was like, look at how in the same breath, I'm like, look how open-minded and encouraging I'm. In the same breath, I'm like, throat/gesture. Right. And she goes, she kind of giggled, and then she goes, well, what's up with that? And I was like, well, it started shitty and then just stayed there. And she goes, Dad. And I looked in the mirror, I could tell she was like, I was like, oh, shit, I'm sorry. I didn't know I was driving the president of the Papa Roach fan club around. Right. But she was like,
really?
I put that on for you to listen to. And I was like, damn, all right. Yeah, I guess that tracks. I would feel the same way. Yeah. If I put something on, you're like, I don't know what this shit is.
Yeah. I get that from my kids, man. It drives me crazy because I'm like, especially with Gabriel, because Lauren doesn't really listen to hip hop, but Gabriel does. He listens to, like I said, his guys. So I'll send him stuff that I love, right? And I'm like, where do you think this stuff evolved from?
There's a lane
Listen to this.
Yeah.
It's good.
Well, there's a lane of that in TikTok too, where people are like, the kid presents a song and the parent goes, no, this is the song that they are sampling. Yeah. This is they're like, wait, what? And it's happened with like my kids be like, I know this from Fortnite, or I know this from TikTok, or I know. It's like, okay, I mean, whatever. Like,
right. Whatever gets you introduced.
Music is being fed in your direction, and that mostly makes me happy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whatever the source is, we'll get to that part in a minute. But
we'll filter through that later.
Anyway, so this, it's like a little. This was very fun. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I told you. I had a blast the first time and this time.
I was intimidated and anxious, and then I was thrilled to be in it. Yeah. And now that it's over, I'm a little sad. Yeah. And I'm like, what else is there that? And the first things that come to mind are like the Beatniks, and like is it the Rat Pack that was like Sinatra and Sammy Davis, and then the Brat Pack was the 80s. Okay, but Beatniks and the Rat Pack, it's like you've got all these talented people kind of doing their own thing, and then they find like-minded folks and do other cool stuff with those people, and it's kind of like, I think Tribe was going to be Tribe regardless of day law and vice versa. Yeah. But they just, one of them's from Queens and the other one's from Long Island, I think. Okay. I mean, I don't know the geography of but they're in the same state. Yeah. And it turns out they wound up recording in the same building. Yeah. But it's just really cool that these two amazing, unique, kind of nobody's ever done really anything like this before. Yeah. And here they sprout at the same time. There's a little bit of interweaving, and then also they kind of stay, doing their own thing. And I'm sure there are other examples than the two that I just gave, and probably better ones too. But I don't think we're ever gonna have this is your golden age. Yeah. I don't think you're ever going to see two outfits kind of just out of the gates into the level of professionalism and sort of, I don't want to say stardom, but to us, they're stars.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like if you said to me, would you rather meet, who's, what's his name that hosts Family Feud?
Steve Harvey?
Yeah, would you rather meet Steve Harvey or Postonus? I'd be like, are you seriously asking me that question right now?
Sorry.
Yeah, he is.
And I like Steve
I do
Harvey.
too. He's hilarious.
But,
so I, feel pretty blessed to have sort of been online.
Yeah.
At the time that this stuff was really, really happening with, all engines purring. I mean, wild that, it's crazy. Paul's Boutique gets this is the $1 million record that can never be made ever again, because it was right kind of up until that, the sampling was kind of like Wild Wild West.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden everybody's like, wait a minute, we got to pay the people. But, they kind of got in there for a minute at least, and we're, anyway. And so again, I go back to, I can see, the finite amount of time it might take oneself to learn how to make a beat. Because you got basically buttons for stuff. Yeah. And it shouldn't take too much screw if you're at all musically inclined. It shouldn't take too much to get in there and mess around and figure it out. Yeah. But also, there's probably a huge likelihood that you watched other people do it.
Yeah, sure.
So beats, okay.
Yeah.
That's a skill. Yeah. And then there's raps.
Yeah.
And it's like, pen and paper. Nobody was doing anything on their phone. No. I doubt because I've had a couple people on here that either record or have a studio, and they talk about punching in. Yeah. And at first I didn't know what they meant, but they really just mean like, okay, here's go on a live track, and I'm gonna rap a few bars. Yeah. And then you punch out of the track. So that's a way of writing, right? Uh-huh. So you're today, your phone, you could do pen and paper, you could punch in, but I doubt that these guys, were just around anytime they wanted to write something. Yeah. The equipment's not right in front of you.
Yeah, sure. You
got to go into Fife's grandma's basement and have a key to get there. So making of the beat is a skill set. Yes. You're writing the lyrics and the raps is a skill. So now you've got a huge, because there's like all these people on the ground level that could probably figure out or be taught how to make a beat. Yeah. But not everybody can write really good raps.
No, absolutely.
So you got a big leap. And then you have a whole other leap of listening to all of this music from several different genres and identifying literally seconds of, ooh, no, I think if we take this 11 seconds here, it fits into the song. Mm-hmm. But over here, we're going to take 2 seconds and we're going to loop it a bunch of times. I mean, that's banana. And like,
that's crazy to me.
How do you hear the time?
How do you hear that?
Yeah.
Like if you put on a record right now, there's no way that I would be able to pick out like a 5-second drum solo or guitar riff or whatever and just go, you know what? Let me pull that out.
Right.
Let me see. Let me mess with that. Let me speed it up or slow it down.
I can do that, and I do that.
Okay.
I at one point had, I try to use an intro and outro audio clip for each episode that I haven't used before. Mm-hmm. And that's what a lot of times, and I got to keep it under 10 seconds or else I get a copyright thing.
Yeah, you get a fine.
But when I started, is this it? No, this is it. No. Well, either way, I very quickly came up with a list of like 102 or 103 songs.
Yeah.
That had cool moments in them.
Oh, okay. Nice.
And it was when I was dating a gal from St. Louis, and we would meet in Columbia a lot.
Yeah.
And that was a great drive.
Oh, sure.
2 hours each way. It's like not long enough to make you sleepy, and long enough that I can either listen to a podcast episode or listen to a whole bunch of music. So anytime I heard a song that had a cool snippet in it,
Okay.
I'd either write it down or text it to myself or whatever.
Nice. Okay.
And I was like, I got 100+ songs. I won't have to, and it's gone like that.
Yeah.
Not because I like a lot of songs, I then sit back down and I can't find it again. Like there's nothing cool in this. What's wrong with you? So I can identify. Sometimes I can successfully identify a portion of a song that sounds cool. And I can go. I could take that and put it here. That's the beginning and the end of all of my tricks.
Yeah.
I can't then follow that up with a related, unique, have a beat underneath it and rap on top. And then, we haven't even talked scratches yet.
Right.
So, I mean, what a gifted collection of dudes. And of course, R.I.P. to Dave and to Fife. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. But anyway, man, I don't have anything more for you. Definitely,
this was fun, man. I appreciate you.
Yeah,
back.
Absolutely. Appreciate you coming back, being open to it.
Had a great time.
A couple of times, a lot of names come across a lot, and just for this.
Yeah.
And I'm tempted to. I've been tempted on more than one occasion to. Kind of go back to what do they call the outfit? Native, not Native Tongues, but it's Jungle Brothers, Tribe, De La.
It's Native Tongues.
Okay, yeah. Sometimes I'm like, I should really get into so-and-so's discography from that. And then I feel myself immediately do this because I don't want to be disappointed.
Yeah.
Because I know I'm going to be like, but are you guys as good as Tribe and Dale? Which is silly, but we do it.
We do.
But anyway, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it, man.
All
Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Bye.
You should check out